Hey guys, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Paige.
And this is the Pretty Please podcast. Welcome back to the Pretty Please podcast. Today we have a special guest on. This is Kim. Kim, I joke and say all the time that she's literally my lifeline, but she is.
You make it easy.
Every once in a while, I'll text her and be like, so it's me again.
I'm like, can you call me when you have a second? I know I'm really
I'm
annoying,
always eager to see what it's going to be.
So Kim, I guess I've known you my whole life.
Pretty much.
Kim and my mom are really good friends. We've pretty much been there the whole time. But she is very, very knowledgeable and really, really has helped me and Paige both with our businesses. So we wanted to bring her on and kind of just pick your brain.
Pick my brain. All right. I've been around a minute, so.
So first off, before we get into like business, just tell us a little bit about yourself and like your background.
Well, let's see. I've been through wore many hats over the years.
Yeah.
I started out as an accountant, and I did accounting roles for many years, and I did it through all kinds of different departmental functions. I've done payroll accounting. I've done general ledger accounting. I've done bank reconciliation, all the boring accounting you can think of.
Numbers.
I've done it. I've been in every department that's been out there, accounts payable, accounts receivable, all of them. So I had a really good, healthy knowledge of business and how each little different segment works. And then I moved to the main company that I work for now, and they put me through law school as well. So, which, by the way, a nice little business nugget. If you can ever get work for a company that does tuition reimbursement, milk that to the 9th degree.
Absolutely.
That's a good-
100% thing that I recommend. Both of my bachelor's degree and my law degree were paid for by
Really?
the companies I worked for. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I have no student debt.
That's
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
amazing.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow,
both
good
of
for
them.
you.
Now, the bad thing is you got to do it at night, all your work,
Yeah.
but it's a short-lived pain that will reap your benefit. Right.
Yeah.
It will give you lots
the
of
long
rewards later on. You don't have to worry about some of the things that a lot of people worry about now with student loans. But anyway, they put me through law school, and then I started my own law firm on the side because I was doing it on top of doing my regular day job, where I negotiate and work out leases for a major retail company in town. And on that side business is where I tend to help and work with people like you guys who have brilliant ideas, because I am not entrepreneurial. I am not, the brainchild. I don't come up with all the creativity. You guys do that. I just help you get started, which is what I like, because I enjoy working with you. I love watching the creativity, and your youthful energy for doing all of that. And I just want to see both of you succeed in everything you do and everyone else that's out there.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate it. People ask me all the time, how'd you get started? I said, I didn't do it.
Her name's Kim.
I said, this is what I think I need. You tell me. She's like, well, actually.
Let's think through this. Let's think through that. And, that's it always brings a different grounding factor to it, is because you guys are thinking so much about what you want to do and all the creative ideas that go behind it. And sometimes you either need a sounding board, or you just need someone to walk you through the administrative stuff that takes a long time, or sometimes doesn't take a long time and you just don't know about it, just to make sure you've got all your boxes checked and are doing all the things that you need to do from a legal standpoint, from a business standpoint, so that you don't have to worry about it and you can move on to the creative part,
right,
and the content part, and the things that you need to do to actually get your business up and going, because that takes way more time than this kind of stuff. It's just the background noise.
And that's exactly what you did for me. I mean, from day one, you literally helped me get my LLC, my tax ID number, all of that stuff.
I mean, she did it for Pretty Please.
Yeah, you did it for Pretty Please. Did she do it for front page?
Heck yeah, she did. She came to my work. She was like, hey, I need this. I was like, okay, well, I have it here. She's like, I'm coming. She came to my work, and I gave it to her. And
well, it's about convenience, too. Yeah. You guys are busy. You're so busy starting this. Anyone who starts a company knows it takes so much of your energy, and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off with a checklist a mile long. I'm just helping you with one factor in it.
But that one factor, I feel like just for anybody out there who's trying to research it, there's so much of different sites, even though it's usually your government site you have to go to. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the wording that they use, you're like, I don't even know what that means.
I mean, I literally take pictures of stuff I get in the mail. Still to this day, I'm like, what does this mean?
I did that to her when I was like, I moved. What do I do? And she's like, well, this is like it's small things like that you're like, oh, crap.
Well, and it's tough for you guys because you're so busy already doing your regular, your job and trying to keep the business growing that it can get overwhelming really quickly because you're like, oh, my gosh, here's one more little thing, nuance.
Right.
Yeah.
That I don't have time to think through.
Yeah.
And,
for
sure. Especially when you're dealing with the government side of stuff, it's going to be a little bureaucratic. You're going to have some tape and some hoops to jump through, and it's just, my best advice when you're looking at doing something overwhelming, like going down that avenue of reading the information that they're sending or going to figuring out all the governmental sites. It is tedious work. But the government does tend to lay out a lot of literature. So the more you dig and the more you read, and the more you have to like to read.
Yeah,
I don't like to do that.
Not me.
Yeah, you have to like to read, and you're going to be reading a lot. And and I'll send you guys information and articles. Okay, I think this one is kind of easy to interpret and not super long. So read it and kind of give you an idea of what you're thinking about. Because I know we did that with your bakery and all the little nuances.
Well, even when the commercial kitchen, if we end up building that, I know there's things I'm going to have to go back to Kim and be like, okay, now I have a commercial kitchen. Now what do I need? Because I remember when we talked about it, there's other things that I'm going to have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the governments like to give you all kinds of hoops to jump through.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So. Well, and they change things all the, I mean, I remember when I started, Kim told me, she was like, hey, just a note, this law just changed.
Yeah. It was like literally
like it was quick. So it's things like that you got to kind of keep up
with it, which is a lot.
And in the legal field, we have to do CLEs all the time, which is continuous learning education. So I'm forced to do many of them a year. So that's where I try to pick up and stay informed on the knowledge. And then also we just, attorneys have a really good groups for discussion. We keep up with we talk to each other.
Oh, okay.
And then that way, if one person knows about some new nuance or some new tweak to something that's going on, they'll share it with everyone. And it just kind of helps us stay on top in the industry.
That's super nice.
Because you need a tribe.
You do.
Right. You gotta have
need a tribe, and especially as women, right? Women running businesses.
Sure. Yep.
The best gift you can give to yourself is to share your knowledge.
Yeah.
You're not going to necessarily do better than someone, so coveting that information isn't helpful, but it will help each other to share that information that you get.
Well, and everybody takes their knowledge and runs with it in different ways. Like I was talking to 2 other boutique owners this week, and one girl was like, I do awesome on Facebook Live. And I'm like, I've never even been Facebook Live, I don't think. And I'm like, well, mine is TikTok. It's really taken off. I'm like, maybe you should try that, But I just feel like everybody's got their own little, and even if it is the same platform, their way of doing it is going to be different. No matter.
Well, and you can build off of it. You can build off of each other too. It's like you might hear about an idea from someone and that can trigger something that you're like, oh, well, this is how I can do that. And create your own avenue for continuing down that journey. But it's that collaboration with everyone in your tribe that gives you those ideas, and you just continue to build off of it. And you need that. It's also about networking. You've got to network with your peers and non-peers, anything and everything that you can gain knowledge from, because knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Community over competition.
Yes, that is one of
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we are really stand by.
And you guys do a great job of that. I mean, you guys are always out there. You're always out there learning, digging, trying to gain as much new knowledge or new creativity sources.
Yeah.
When y'all go to market.
Oh, yeah.
Do all your stuff.
We try.
And I'm sure you have connections at market now that you've gained.
Yeah,
for sure.
Even some of the vendors.
Yeah, I mean, you learn to grow. You learn to know and grow with the vendors and that type of thing. So it's fun.
Yeah, and you're going to build your entire career and your entire life off of those networks.
Yeah, for sure.
Networking is, it's in my world. I live and breathe off of it.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because if somebody, and Amy Gleaves that was in here the other day, she tries to get me to go to networking events all the time. And if you know me, that is so not my thing. I would literally stand in the corner by myself and not
get out of your comfort zone.
I know.
Exactly.
And as we do this, and I feel like I'm talking more.
I mean, this is out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
And you're good at it.
I feel like the more that I do this, I will get better at that, and I may venture out to go do something like that. But yeah, she's always like, "Come to it." I'm like, "Okay," and then
I can think back over my many years adulting, and I can think of everything that was tough or that I was pushed into or out of my comfort zone or something that I did not want to ever do ended up being the best thing
you did.
that I did. Yeah. And I am so thankful that I got pushed. And, and you need to push each other.
You do have to get out of your comfort zone to learn and grow and
absolutely.
For sure.
What would you say is one of the best things that you've done that has pushed you out of your comfort zone but has made you better?
Honestly, law school. Law school was so hard. I mean, I never thought I would do that. I was an accountant.
Yeah.
Accountants don't do law school, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're very left brain, right brain when you think about the two different types of skill sets. And as an accountant,
what you do in your full-time job require
my current one,
that, or
no? It's just an additional help. Well, in the world that I was living in leasing, I 100% was an accountant from what I was doing in that field.
Okay.
I was working on the back end of the leases, which was managing the numbers and the rent and all the financial data that came from that. And there's a whole accounting world that's tied to leases.
Okay.
So I was working it from that perspective. But the more I got into the commercial leasing side and had to continually fight with landlords and account reps trying to get your statements, your rents, because rents are very extreme. They're not, your rent is one payment, right?
Yeah.
In the commercial world we live in, there's multiple lines. You have like 5 to 6 lines of different types of rent. And there's different types of calculation. Boring. But once you start arguing that and you have to read 100 pages of lease documentation, you realize that you're kind of getting more away from the number aspect. And now you're getting into reading and interpreting lease language and contract language and having to formulate arguments that people follow and understand and you win. Yeah. Right? Which turned all of a sudden into legal.
I was going to say, so that kind of got you.
So that's when one of our executive team members said, you could benefit by going to law school.
Okay.
And I was not in agreement. I was like, I don't want to do that. I mean, that's a huge endeavor. That's a lot of time. And back when I was doing it, because I went to law school at night. I did. I met my husband did it. Well, yeah, because he had always wanted to do it too, because he was a police officer, which made way more sense.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, if I'm going to do it, let's do it together. Because the kids had all gone out, they'd all left high school.
Yeah.
So we had an empty nest situation going on. I might have been a little lonely and a little bored. Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess the time's right.
If you're staying up all night studying, why not do it together?
Yeah, absolutely. So that worked out fantastic. It took us longer than we planned. How
long did it take?
It took me 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the second year we had a huge project going on at work where we had to completely implement a whole new accounting system into our thing, and I couldn't do
both at the same time.
I couldn't do full-time law school, full-time work. So I halved my second year into 2.
Okay.
Which turned it into 5 years. But a long time.
That
But
is a
now
long
it's
time.
been, I mean, I look back and I'm hitting my 10-year mark.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've been a lawyer?
Yeah.
What?
See, time goes like
That's
that.
crazy.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Time goes
Wow.
so fast. So that's why I recommend, when I think back of the things that I was so glad that I ended up doing, it was definitely that, because I would never have done it if I really thought about it.
Right.
If I was never in a plan.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith.
Yeah, for sure.
And just know that, I don't 100% know where this is going, but it feels right.
Yep.
And I have a good plan. And it seems like if you'll always know in life when things are right.
Right.
If you listen to your inner core and your inner gut and whatever, if you're spiritual, you're listening to God, whatever it is that drives your inner voice.
Yeah.
It's definitely something, if you listen to it, you'll know when the times are right to do stuff.
If you're like me and live for comfort, listen up. You have to check out Cozy Earth. Their sheets, pajamas, and robes are on another level. Luxuriously soft, breathable, and just all around dreamy.
And don't worry, I know those luxury prices are scary, but right now you can get 40% off. Yes, 40% with the code PRETTYPLEASE at checkout. That's a massive deal on some of the highest quality loungewear and bedding out there.
So whether you're upgrading your sleep game or looking for a perfect gift, go to CozyEarth.com and use code PRETTYPLEASE for 40% off. Trust me, your future well-rested self will thank you.
You just, know what's right, and I normally have that gut feeling when I'm making a decision, and it's normally right. And I'm sure all of us can
Because
relate to that.
Yeah, and you know when you're working through something, when you wanted to start your bakery, how long did you think about it?
A long time.
Yeah, because I mean
because we even sat down and you're like, okay, when did you start? I'm like, I don't even I thought about it and I didn't really think I wanted it to be turned into this, but that's what it turned into.
Like an actual business.
Yeah,
it's scary when you think about it.
It is.
But you go down those paths and you realize when you look back, you're like, oh, I really never planned it this way.
No.
But it definitely evolved.
Yeah.
And I think over the years I've learned that you really you trust your gut, you go through the process and you see where it takes you, and at the end of the day it's going to be leading you in the right direction.
Yeah.
You just have to move forward. You can't stop yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you recommend small business owners who have not gotten an LLC or not fully legal get a small business attorney to help them?
Absolutely. And you don't even have to have an attorney do it. Accountants can do it too, number one. Okay. But number two, if you have the time and you have the energy, a lot of people can do it on their own.
Yeah. Right.
If they want to.
Yeah.
Right. Most people are like, I don't want to even touch it.
That was me.
That was me too, because I was like, what if I do something wrong? Or I would just rather have that person there knowing that I'm doing it right.
I feel like if I didn't have you, I may have never even done it, because it was just like that scare factor of I don't even know where to start. I literally wouldn't even have known where to start.
And the government, Tennessee has a really good SBA program. I mean, it's Small Business Administration. And they do try to get out good literature to kind of walk the small business through. Plus, there's things you need to know about your industry that has special licensing or special requirements or special permits and stuff like that. So they have to disseminate information for everyone. And they've done classes too, which I think is really nice.
That's nice.
I've encouraged people, even if I set up the LLC for them or try to get them started, it's always great to go down there and take one of these classes just so you can get a little bit of the acumen to kind of understand what the overall picture is of running a business.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out there on your own and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes taking these little classes tend to help, and it give you a manual about this big.
Oh gosh.
Well, I guess nowadays it's probably an electronic manual.
Yeah.
When I started sending people out there, I promised the manual's about that big, and it would have chapters over what,
oh my,
bakery, retail, wholesale, all the different categories, so that you could go to what hopefully your business might fit into, and start learning all the different things you got to think about to run your business. But they also, one of the really good things about it is they'll get you in touch with loans which is critical because, women-owned businesses have a lot of loans that are out there. Minority-owned,
minority
financing.
They'll look into those.
That people don't know about.
Kim?
I know. I've been trying to tell you. I know it's
Scary.
I know it's scary. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the numbers, it is so freaking... And I know people say all the time, you have to spend money to make money.
You do.
But when you get up there, I'm like, it scares you. But I feel like it's my next step.
Yeah. Well, and both of y'all have done a really good job of investing too, right? You aren't as scared to spend the money, which I am so proud of both of y'all for doing. You put yourselves out there because investing in your business is critical. You're going to have to grow. Yeah. You're going to be stagnant if you don't. But where you put your money in what part is always the scary.
You can't just be like, oh, I really want this, so I'm just going to go buy it. But actually, I need this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you have to reinvest in things that are gonna make you more money or
return on investment. Yeah. You always want to think through, okay, if I'm going to spend my money on this product or this enhancement or this visual aid, then is it going to get me some type of return on my investment? And both of you guys are really good about that. I mean, you think through and you're not afraid to pull a trigger, which honestly, some people just are stifled at it. Yeah. Especially if they're not making as much money as they want to and they're barely, hanging in there. They're not going to let go of any money. Yeah. And you can't think like that.
Not do that because then you're never
going to grow.
That's what I wanted to do when I lost my job. I was like, I have to save every penny. But it was at the end of the day, if I wanted to grow and I wanted to do this full time, like, I had to make the investment.
You had to go. You had to go.
It was go or
bye. Step on the accelerator and start moving. And that's what successful business people do is they're not scared. Yeah. And y'all both do really good at that. I'm so proud of both of y'all.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
We're learning as we go.
Yeah, and you're not always going to win, right?
No.
And the important thing on those is, you're going to have some setbacks, you're going to have some mistakes, but you learn from them.
Yeah, and don't do it again.
Don't do it again.
Learn from it and don't do it again.
Or do it differently.
Or do it a different way. Yes.
But it's just going back to your question real quick about recommending it. Yes, I recommend it. But the main reason I recommend it is from the liability standpoint.
Yeah.
In your situation, if you were out there baking goods and someone got sick off of it,
right?
You could lose your house over it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't take that risk. No. You are selling clothes. If someone slips and falls, trying on a very tight,
people don't even think
cute
about
dress.
That.
No, they don't.
They're like, it's clothing. Yeah, but there's things that can.
You never know what's going to happen. Someone could get allergic to crazy things happen. Yeah. And they break out in hives and have to go to a trip to the hospital because there was something in a product that you were selling. So then there you go. You're going to have to pay for all of that. Make sure your LLCs are set up. And it's not that you're going to lose it's not like that's going to go away, but they won't come for you personally.
Yeah.
It'll always stay within your business.
You've always told me that from the beginning is to make sure to do an LLC so that...
And always operate within the LLC.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Lauren herself does not write checks for her business. The Bates Boutique writes the checks for the business. So because there's a lovely term called piercing the corporate veil. And when you start doing stuff outside of the business under your personal name and not in the business, then people can say, oh, well, your personal stuff is now attached to your business and I can come get your personal stuff too. Yeah. Now, all of that scary stuff and, more than likely nothing's ever going to happen to that kind of extreme, but that's why you set up an LLC is for that protection to make sure if that weird thing ever happens to you, your business is your business, but your home will always stay by itself.
Yeah. I remember you saying that when we first set it up.
Y'all both got that scared look in your eye, like, oh my God.
Every time she started talking about this, I'm like thinking, okay, am I doing that? Am I doing that?
I can see both of y'all's brains going back on, I hope I did all that right. I have no doubt you did it all right.
Well, it's even like taxes, going through like getting your tax stuff ready. It's like, oh my goodness. It's rough. Just making sure you
just did mine, and I'm like, thank you, Lord, that I don't have to do that. But it's still scary.
It is.
We were talking about this earlier about paying quarterly which we both are not good at.
No, it's just one.
We said we should be doing this, but we're not. But
how many times has Kim told you that?
A lot, and I still don't.
I have another guy, that I've worked with over the years who has did an LLC for him. He is very intentional. Every quarter, he sits down and figures out how much he made, and he does 20%, and he sticks it in, and he pays off, sends a check in. He does 20% every time, like clockwork.
Really?
Yeah, he's probably the only person out there who does it.
Definitely the only person.
But he took what I said to heart and is literally doing it.
I'd need to.
So is it right in the end, or does he?
He's probably overpaying a little bit, but I guarantee you he's not under.
Back?
Yeah. It's just
I'd rather get the money back than have to pay it in.
Yeah. He's very well protected from that perspective. Mm-hmm. And there's different arguments to that. I mean, tax advisors will definitely tell you don't want to pay in too much.
Yeah.
Because you'd rather take that money and invest in your business.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Of course.
But you don't want to overdo it.
But you also don't want to be sitting at the end of the year with a big old fat tax payment
that you don't have the money
that
for.
They may or may not penalize you, because if you're under paying, sometimes they want to penalize you and charge you some fees.
They want to penalize you.
I feel like it's just tax, like sales tax, government tax, all this time, like
payroll tax,
right?
Franchise and excise tax. That's my favorite one. What is that word? And the government, they're localities taxes have definitely changed over the years too. I think a lot of them are giving you more tax breaks, so that's helpful. But at the end of the day, it's still taxes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What would be one thing that, like, if somebody came to you today and was like, "Hey, I want to get going," like, what would be your your first thing that you would tell them that they need to do?
Well, you definitely want to explore the area that you're trying to get into, right? You want to do a lot of research, and I can help do that too, is I can help gather data, just like,
gosh, you had to
what we were, because I don't know every business that's out there. There's not a lot of people that do.
Just as
I'm learning right there with you.
When you were doing mine, you were like, I didn't even realize this. I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah. So you've got to do your research up front, because you don't want to get into the business and then find out, I had to have this crazy licensing permit thing that's going to cost time and energy. It's going to take me a year to get it.
Oh gosh,
and I'm going to have to pay a huge fee, and I'm going to have to update it, or I have to have a certain piece of equipment that I have to do this job that's mandated. Yeah, you don't know until you get out there and you start researching it. So you have to do a ton of research. Google is your friend. We are blessed. So many small businesses now, you are so lucky. Yeah. Because 10, 15, 20 years from now ago, you really couldn't
just go to Google.
Yeah, you had no idea. You would probably have to get with someone else who is doing it and learn from them. Yeah. It was much harder to start a business. Now you guys have, any idea that you want, and you just start Googling it, and you have to be careful that it's accurate. Yeah, because there's always going to be accuracy issues in everything we do now in the world, out the web world. But the governmental sites are really good, and we hope they're accurate. We're relying on them pretty hard. Yeah. But they'll give you a wealth of information on how to start. It just takes time. Yeah. But that's the first thing I always recommend doing. Research the heck out of it. Make sure it's something you really can do. Yeah. And look for your pitfalls, and then look where the plus sides are, because if you're going down the path and you're like, oh yeah, this seems like it works for a lot of people, seems like people are making money on it, it's not a overpopulated industry, let's do it. And then you set up your LLC and you go from there.
So LLC would be next.
I always do. I mean, once you've made your decision, once you know for sure, because exactly, you can't go out and start doing products and any of the things, creating your looks and any of that, until you make sure you actually can get the name.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that the state of Tennessee, and I'm assuming other states are the same way, is there's a list of companies out there and you can duplicate it.
Yeah.
So if someone someone's already got your name, you're kind of have a problem.
Yeah, you got to think of something else for sure.
Or go hunt them down and try to buy them out.
Yeah, or that.
Which, there are pirates out there that do that. They
really,
they go out and just create names and
hoping for somebody to come and try to get it. Really,
that's crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yep, it's a whole industry out there.
Wow.
What would you and I do not do this, so I feel like I'm not one to talk, but like for like, of course, I have like my personal stuff separate from all my business stuff. For your business, do you recommend having a checking and a savings?
Yes, you have to.
How do you?
First thing out the door is you're going to get, right after you do your LLC, you're going to take it to the bank and set up your bank account in the LLC name.
Okay.
You're going to get your Amex cards, banking cards, whatever it is you need to do in the LLC's name. You're going to 100% try to put everything. If you buy a piece of equipment, you put it in the LLC's name. Yeah. So you're 100% operating under the LLC.
And once you start generating that income, what's your recommendation on what you put into that? Is there a certain percentage or
Every industry is going to be different. Every company is, because it also depends on how you're going to grow. And highly recommend talking to a financial advisor if you're making enough money to where you have that excess. Because there's so many other ways you can invest, because I'm not a financial manager or portfolio manager. So if you're making enough money, you definitely want to look at that. But what you want to do as you're growing, and you want to sit down and say, okay, what area can I grow into? What's the next step? Whether it's a piece of equipment, whether it's a new building, whether it's a new aspect to the business that you have to hire employees for, or advertising, whatever it is that you think is the next right step, that's what you start figuring out. Okay, this is the area I want to start growing into. That's where I want to invest my money. And there's ways, if it's a big endeavor, there are loans out there. You just want to make sure that you're not going to get overextended. Yeah. So that'll take a company down quicker than anything. You want to try to operate the best you can without taking loans. But, business is business.
Sometimes
to grow, you have to. Yeah. You have to. But I was talking earlier about the Small Business Administration the government has. They have some really good contacts that can help they can connect you with for people who do loans, particularly for minority members, and there's a large class of people under there. You guys would, you would be part of that group. And then, there's also just your personal connections. Comes back to networking too. Yeah. Right. You're going to get, we're lucky. Hendersonville's big, but it's also still a small town. Yeah. You're going to get to know your banks. You're going to get to know your lenders. And working with them on, can they provide you a loan? What makes the best sense? What's going to, be the cheapest rates? Yeah, you're going to have to do a little investigating. Yeah. Or just do it on credit cards, right? I mean, you got all kinds of options. Yeah. You just got to do the work to figure out which one's best for you. Yeah. I like small time banks. Yeah. I like working with them. You have a personal relationship with them. Yeah. And if things, let's say, you start, things don't work out as well as you think they would. You can always go back to your bank and say, okay, can we restructure my loan and negotiate it to where I'm only paying this amount back? Or there's things that you can do with a small time lender banking versus personnel than the credit card company or some lender that's out in Utah, they don't care about you. Yeah. That makes sense. So I always recommend working with local banks, assuming that they give you good rates.
Yeah, I've always heard, what are the three things? Like a lawyer, your banker, and maybe your doctor or something. It's always have those people's
in your
phone number in your back pocket.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Those are three good contacts to have. Yeah. Maybe a financial advisor. That's probably a good one too.
Probably need one of those.
I should probably talk to mine more often than I do. He called me. He's like, "It's been 6 months. What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I've lost my job." And he's like, That would have been good.
That would have been a good time to call.
Yeah. I don't even have one.
Highly recommend it.
I know.
They are so critical because you are young and starting a plan now when you're young.
Yeah.
The amount of money you can grow.
Yeah.
Is astounding.
Well, and that's another thing for small business owners. Like, I've never had a 401k because I've never worked in corporate or anything. So I've never had that. So right when I started my store, I opened like a Roth IRA, and that is my 401k.
Yeah.
So that's what I will bank on when, who knows how old I am,
And
I feel like that's a good option for small business owners.
Absolutely. That is a great point because as a small business owner, you're not you don't have the corporate umbrella that's saving you from when things go bad. And retirement plans are critical.
Yeah.
There's gloom and doom out there, right? Nothing's going to be available Social Security wise for you guys. Whether that's true or not is a moot point, but you definitely want to supplement it.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to just live off Social Security. So having a retirement plan, when my parents were retiring, they all had pensions.
Yeah.
Pensions are long gone.
They're way gone.
Long gone. So now I've had a 401k since I think I started when I was 25 because someone came in and they said, okay, this is the way, if you just put in $25, $50 a month, this is how much you're going to have $1 million by the time you get out of here. So that was like, oh, I need that. And it's minimal and you never miss it.
You don't miss it. That's what I was actually talking to my mom the other day, and like ever since I had mine, I've had it at the same amount, and I just last week upped it because I'm like, I'm able to. And she was like, you're never going to miss that. And
you
she
won't.
was like, that'll be the best thing that you've ever done.
Now, in the corporate world, what they always recommend you do is every time you get a pay raise, hopefully you're getting a pay raise, is that you at least do half of that into your 401k. So you're increasing both because you'll never miss it.
Yeah.
Or with bonuses. Like if you get a bonus in corporate, up your 401k when that payout's coming because you're not getting taxed on it.
That's right.
So
That's right.
up your 401k, so you're getting more money towards that 401k, and then whatever's being paid out, of course, is taxed heavily.
Yeah.
But at least most of whatever it is goes into that 401k.
Yeah, bonuses get taxed quite
Oh my god, it's
excessively.
insane.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with it. It used to be like 25%.
You get it.
Well, whenever you pull out 401k, that's when you
get taxed on it. Okay.
but it's less than if you were to
Gotcha.
you were to get
And there's
paid out on
hardship
bonus.
situations too. Like if you lose your job or you have a major surgery, healthcare situation, there are some exceptions where they won't penalize you when you tax it, when you pull it out. But the idea is that you're putting it away and that you don't touch it.
But you'd be surprised at how many people pull out their it's
not a savings account.
insane.
It is your retirement account.
and they're like, oh, I'll just pay it because you have to pay it back with an interest.
Oh, you do?
Most of the time you do.
Oh. Wow.
And you'd be surprised at how many people
Pull from it.
Well, you can take a loan off.
Yeah,
of
that's
it.
what, if they take a loan.
That's
out of
when
it.
they're paying it back with interest. But you can cash it out.
Yeah, you can't, but they get penalized
Right.
Big
heavily.
time, like
Yeah.
half or something, isn't it? Like,
It's not that much,
It's like
but it's
25,
it's
somewhere
pretty
between 25 and
high.
30%.
yeah, that's high. I mean,
Yeah. So you don't want it. And
Yeah,
the
you
point
don't want
is, the whole
Don't
point
touch
is,
it.
don't touch it.
yeah.
And I told people all the time, like, if you are to the point where you feel like you need to touch it, lower your percentage.
Yeah. Just stop.
If you need some
just
extra,
stop.
or just stop.
Yeah.
Lower your percentage or just stop until you're caught up to where you need to be.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to touch it, don't touch it.
Yeah. And most people don't realize that most, not all corporations are matching it
Yeah.
in some form or fashion. So you're leaving money on the table
Yep.
if you're not investing in a 401k where your company matches it. Because you either get a salary or you get this 401k. And that is money you are leaving on the table when you don't sign up and put money into it. And once someone said that to me, that I was leaving money on the table, I was like, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore. I'm gonna try to do the max. That was a little hard, but once you do it,
Yeah.
you don't feel it as badly, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm glad to see that you did it on your own, because you don't have the corporate umbrella. And you going out and doing it on your own is fantastic.
As soon as I lost my job,
did you put yours
into? I started upping my Roth IRA, and that's why he called me. He was like, "Why did you increase?" And he was like, "You should have told me."
Yeah.
But yeah, I had my 401k, I had my mutual fund, and then I had my Roth IRA. My mutual fund is more of like if an emergency happens, like I can pull from that, which I don't want to because it's in stocks.
Yeah.
But then I've always had my Roth IRA too, so I've been putting it in different avenues, but now I have 2 different Roth IRAs because there's different kinds of them.
Yeah.
Diversity is key.
Yeah, that's like Austin. You know, he worked corporate and he had his 401, and then he went, you know, out on his own. So I was like, you need to get that money and put it in a Roth IRA. So
because you can transfer it into other avenues without penalties.
Yeah,
you just can't take it out.
Yeah. So that's what he was able to do.
Yeah, so it's a great time. I think this is a great conversation about going to see and talking to financial advisors.
Don't know. They don't even know about it. I had no clue until my mom.
You don't know.
Yeah, my mom told me about it, and I was like, "Well, I didn't even know it was a thing." And she was like, "Yeah, you really need to think."
Yeah,
about
your
it.
mother has done fantastic with her financial advisor and getting the information that she needs to, and she is going to be just fine in retirement because of that.
Yeah,
and it's critical, and it's something that I don't think people our age were thinking you didn't do till you were older.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I'm getting close to retirement now. I need to go talk to my financial advisor. That was what kind of the mentality that we had. You guys are going to be in such a better place than we were. Even though I was putting money into a 401k at a very young age, I wasn't diversifying. I didn't have an advisor to put different things in different, buckets based on what your plan is, because nowadays they'll look at you and go, okay, well, I know you want to go on vacation once a year. We'll put this in that bucket. And, but long-term, you want to do this. We'll put that in this bucket. That they do fantastic stuff and manage your money. And that just wasn't a thing when I was growing up.
Will say if you want to, and I think so many people like Christmas time, it's so hard on people because they're spending all. He was like, send me $20 a week. You won't even know that it's gone. Or whatever you want to send me, and then I'll give it back to you during Christmas time, and that's your
Christmas.
Pool. Yeah.
And you're not struggling. You're not
struggling.
In a sweaty position going, where am I? Or spending January not eating anything.
Exactly.
Starving. Noodles. Doing dry January. You can't afford your drink anymore. That's really what started it, by the way. You know that.
The margaritas.
That's funny.
Those margaritas.
Dry January was where no one could afford their drink anymore.
Probably.
That's great.
They're just used it as a cute technique.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like if you had to tell someone who is wanting to start something?
Start a business?
That we've missed, that we may not be thinking about?
Well, we've talked about the research on the front end. We've talked about the LLC setup, which is critical. We've talked about financial advising throughout your business. You definitely want to sit down. I would sit down, depending on who all you're working with. But I definitely think employees are a vital part of your company too. You want to sit down at least once a quarter with everyone and just take a moment, right? Yeah. Take a moment and understand what your goals are, what you would like to see happen, get feedback from all the employees because you want everyone to feel invested in your business. For sure. And also find ways of taking care of your employees. Yeah, I think that is something that you tend to lose sight of, not because you don't appreciate your employees, but because you're so busy trying to run your business that sometimes we kind of lose sight of the people who make our companies grow and happen and work, right? For sure. And in this day, people are just so it's just a different world since COVID, right? Yeah. And people are undervalued, or they feel undervalued, and they want to be seen, and they want to feel like they're a part of something. Yeah. And they really do make your company. And so take the time for your employees. Yeah. Assuming you have any. I mean, when you're starting off,
you're great advice.
You're not going to necessarily do it.
Life's busy. You do get carried away, and it's nonstop. I mean, especially for me. With a baby and a business and now the podcast, like all the many adventures that we've taken on, it's just like, I get it. So you do have to like step back.
How would you explain to somebody, say, okay, I don't have any employees though, and I'm making enough money where I want to start paying myself.
Yeah.
How would you recommend somebody doing that?
Well, it depends on, first of all, you can 100% pay yourself, right? But it also depends on whether you're a single owned business or, you're multiple, right? A partnership or more. It's different tax structures at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Whether you do an employee draw and you define what that is. Obviously, if you have partners, I guess, let me start back with like the two of you. You've got singular businesses, right? At the end of the day, all your net income is what you're going to be taxed on anyways, your profit line. So if you want to pay yourself $10,000, but you overpaid, you got to pay some back, it's not going to matter at the end of the day because your profit line is your profit line. That's what you're going to get taxed on. So, do what makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I've seen many structures where you're going to have ebbs and flows in your business too, right?
Absolutely.
You're only going to be able to pay yourself X on this month, but then the next month you're going to be able to make it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you have to have this to make your house payment and your personal stuff. But it's not enough. So the next month you're going to have to pay some of it back when you make it. So you're just learning to move your money around. But when you have a singular business, the end of it, your profit line, your net income is your net income.
Right.
It doesn't change. With a partnership, you need to sit down with your partner and determine exactly what that is going to look like.
Looks like.
You can have and you put it on paper. It's called an operating agreement. You write it down, and operating agreements are great tools. I also highly recommend those if you have multiple business.
Didn't I send it? No obligation agreements.
No, we all have. That's next. Yes.
Oh Lord.
Yes, you need an operating agreement.
And
It's like a business partnership will, right? It's your way of saying, this is what I want my company to, how I want my company to operate. This is what, as members of the company, this is how I expect things to happen. And if it doesn't happen the way I want it to, or if things go bad, then this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or if something happened to one of you, how do you want the business to evolve?
Well,
So,
I mean, gosh, I mean, that's very, very true. I've never thought about that. But like if something were to happen to one of us, oh, shoot, my family wouldn't know what, like you got to know that type of stuff.
I just know I need this phone to get all information I need.
She knows where my lifeline that and Kim.
And that's all I need. And then I think I can maybe figure it out.
Well, it's just like a will, right?
Yeah.
If something happened to you and you don't have how you expect the business to be handled, like you could say, we agree that if something happened to one of us, the business ends, the money gets split, and 50 of it goes to my spouse.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have something like that, then something happens to you, could it all go to your other partner?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to outline that and put it down.
Yeah.
And, God forbid, the worst case scenario is that you don't get along anymore.
Yeah.
Or you start fighting, or you find out one's less effective than the other. And problems arise when you have a partnership. It's just human nature.
That is what it is, too. Like, it's going to happen, but it's how you handle it.
Yeah.
Right. And the good thing about an operating agreement, if it gets to a point where you can't work it out, and then you're fighting so much that you can't, you're just truly fighting, the operating agreement at least gives you a tool to use that said, okay, when we weren't fighting, we agreed that this is what we're going to do. Yeah. I've had cases where multiple members, one member just quit working.
Just stopped?
Yeah, they just didn't feel like,
they're like, I'm done.
And they were doing what they would do some work when they had time, but they weren't fulfilling their obligations anymore.
Oh, okay.
And they were possibly misappropriating funds, doing some things that they just shouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
And the people who had established their company with an operating agreement they just pulled from online somewhere. Mm-hmm. It didn't have the correct information for Tennessee. It didn't give the correct ways to handle things. And we ended up having to go to court for a judge to decide how these other members were going to address the problem child and get it all worked out. And a lot of money was wasted and a lot of energy and time on a decent company. The company was a good, solid company. And
it's just don't even like put that away. Like if you don't have to have that headache, then why would you? You know, like,
right. That's an easy thing that you should 100% do at the beginning of your business when you have a multiple partnership or multiple members, because the chances of something happening in one of these avenues is pretty good.
Yeah.
And you'd rather figure it all out when you all agree.
Yes.
Than be fighting about it later on and it destroy the business. It wastes so much money.
Right.
It's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It's no fun.
No.
Yeah. No.
We've done pretty good though about like everything that we've needed, and there's a few things that we still got to do, but
we're getting there.
We're getting
there.
Be fine. Still recommend an operating agreement at some point.
But I feel like that kind of, whenever I was writing up the operation agreement, it had a lot of that stuff in there that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had sent me something, but it wasn't exactly an operating agreement.
Okay.
Because I remember you sent me something, and I was like, that's not what we were...
I don't know.
We'll look at it for sure.
Cam.
We'll look at it.
Like, I don't know what this is.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Pretty Please podcast with Kim. Thank you for all your knowledge, letting us pick your brain.
We'll be calling you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Seriously. I didn't realize this was going to open up a whole can of worms. But
Should have known. But if you have any questions or comments, leave it below. And we will see you guys on the next